The 2025 H1 season launched on May the 17th with the annual preseason test event in Tri-Cities, Washington. It was an impressive debut for the newly formed BWR racing team as Andrew Tate in the U91, the Miss Goodman Real Estate, posted the fastest mark of the day at over 163 miles per hour. Teammate Dave Vilwalk in the U27 Miss Apollo was second fastest with a lap over 160. Gunnar O'Farrell gave the Tri-Cities crowd a scare when he took flight in the U21 Miss Lake Ridge Paving on the backstretch. Thankfully, O'Farrell avoided serious injury and the boat sustained only minor damage. The racing action formally kicked off on June 6th through the 8th at the Southern Cup in Guntersville, Alabama. It would be the H1 debut of rookie driver Brandon Kennedy in the U6 Miss Madison, though mechanical problems would delay his driver qualification until Madison. Qualifying saw Andrew Tate threaten the Guntersville course record, posting a lap at over 171 miles per hour. He was just 0.2 of a mile per hour short of the record set 2 years prior. Racing got off to a rough start when a crash involving Dave Vilwalk in the U27 Miss Apollo caused the first heat to end before completing a full lap. The Miss Apollo hit a wake and flew through 2 rooster tails before cartwheeling to a stop. Vilwalk was able to escape without serious injury. High winds and rough water prevented any racing for the rest of the weekend, and the Southern Cup came to an end without a winner. The next stop on the tour took the fleet to Madison, Indiana for the 4th of July tradition at the Madison Regatta. Brandon Kennedy was able to complete his qualification laps in front of the hometown crowd in the U6 Miss Madison. His weekend came to an end, however, when Miss Madison's steering cable broke during Heat 2B, sending the boat into a flat spin by the Milton-Madison Bridge. Andrew Tate, Corey Peabody, and J. Michael Kelly captured victories in the preliminary heats. And in the final, Corey Peabody in the U9 Beacon Plumbing was assessed a 1-minute penalty for cutting in front of Andrew Tate in the U91 Miss Goodman Real Estate during the milling period. When the race started, Andrew Tate held the lead going into turn 1 when Corey Peabody hit some rough water and hooked in front of Jamie Nielsen in the U11 Miss Flavor Pack. Peabody was disqualified, and Andrew Tate captured BWR Racing's first win in Bruce Ratchford's first race as team owner. J. Michael Kelly finished second. Jamie Nielsen was third. The western swing of the schedule began at the end of July in Tri-Cities, Washington, with the 115th running of the APBA Gold Cup, the oldest active trophy in motorsports. 2 teams joined the fleet in the Tri-Cities, the U21 Spirit of America with Gunnar O'Farrell making their return after the blowover crash in testing, and the U12 Graham Trucking with new driver Jeff Bernard. Heat racing was as competitive as ever, with deck-to-deck racing and photo finishes throughout the weekend. Corey Peabody in the U9 Beacon Plumbing, Jamie Nielsen of the U11 Miss Flavor Pack, and J. Michael Kelly in the U8 Beacon Electric won Saturday's preliminary heats. Dave Vilwalk in the U27 Miss Apollo and Corey Peabody won 2 heats each on Sunday. Jeff Bernard and the U12 Graham Trucking team saw their weekend come to an end during testing Sunday morning when the boat broke a propeller, causing significant damage to the transom. The biggest surprise of the weekend came in the form of top qualifier and national high points leader Andrew Tate and the U91 Miss Goodman Real Estate, who failed to win a heat and didn't score enough points to secure a spot on the front row of the final heat. The 2025 APBA Gold Cup final heat was a wild one, which saw 3 boats get to the starting line too early: the U8 Beacon Electric, the U9 Beacon Plumbing, and the U21 Spirit of America. When the rooster tails settled, it was Dave Vilwalk in the U27 Miss Apollo capturing his record-tying 11th Gold Cup win and 68th career victory. 1 week later, the boats headed to Seattle, Washington for the Apollo Mechanical Cup at Seafair. The drama began immediately in Heat 1A when Corey Peabody got into Andrew Tate's skid fin rooster tail on lap 1. The boat sustained enough damage to prevent Peabody from being able to finish the heat, and Andrew Tate went on to collect the 400 points. Jeff Bernard and the U12 Graham trucking team rebounded from the thrown propeller in the Tri-Cities to grab 2 impressive wins on Saturday. J. Michael Kelly filled in for teammate Corey Peabody in the repaired U9 Beacon Plumbing during Heat 2A and drove it to a third-place finish. On Sunday, Andrew Tate continued his perfect weekend in Heat 3A, and J. Michael Kelly collected a win in Heat 3B. The final heat action started early as Jeff Bernard in the U12 Graham Trucking and Jamie Nielsen of the U11 Miss Flavor Pack collided while battling for an inside lane. At the start, J. Michael Kelly and the U8 Beacon Electric and Jamie Nielsen both crossed the line too early and were penalized 1 minute. Andrew Tate capped off the perfect weekend in the U91 Miss Goodman Real Estate, winning the final heat and reclaiming the national high points lead in the process. Corey Peabody finished second in the U9 Beacon Plumbing, while Dave Vilwalk finished in third in the U27 Miss Apollo. As the H1 Unlimited Series travels to the final race of the season in San Diego, California, it is still anyone's championship to win. Andrew Tate holds a 424-point lead over second-place J. Michael Kelly, with Corey Peabody, Dave Vilwalk, and Jamie Nielsen not far behind. Who will win the Bill Muncie Cup on Mission Bay? Who will claim the 2025 National High Points Championship? Welcome back. Corey, who are already coming off the bottom end of the race course. Corey on an inside lane versus Mike up the backstretch, and now Corey's going to pull up alongside teammate J. Michael Kelly. So this is the race before the race, Tanner. Nobody knows where exactly they're going to be when they hit the start-finish line, but they've all got a plan to get where they want to be, and looks like Dave is just going to cruise the race course slowly all the way around to try and claim lane 1. You're looking at Corey Peabody in the 9 at the top end. He's up there with teammate J. Michael Kelly, who's right behind him as we come up on 3 minutes. 3 minutes.
Now, while the two most assertive boats, the Beacon Electric and Beacon Plumbing boat, the white and red boat out front there, are teammates, you never know how much communication there really is. Is there a plan within the tent of, okay, you take lane 1, I'll try for lane 2, we'll gear for those lanes, or do they, are they 90% open in the tent and they leave that last 10%? Although we do hear from JMK some misfiring a little bit coming up the start-finish line.
Ooh. So Corey just cut the race course there. I believe that was... Just checking to see where he cut across the race course to go to the backstretch. So he is on the back. To answer your question, I'm sorry, I got distracted by where Corey cut the race course. By where he went across, I was just checking on a course map to make sure he was okay. But to answer your question, I think this is very much an open competition between the two. I don't think there is a plan between the two because, quite candidly, they are number 2 and 3 in national high points. They both have a shot to win, and there's literally a handful of points between the two. Between the two boats, there are 2 points between them. So anything is open here as we come up on a minute 30. Our score up is 1:15. That means the boats can't cross the start-finish line until 1 minute and 15 seconds. It's going to be Jamie Nielsen coming down here first. He is going to be on an inside lane, and then we'll keep an eye on Corey and Mike as they're coming up behind. We are 1:15. It appears to be a legal score, but everybody is rocking and rolling with the exception of Dave Vilwalk. And so Vilwalk's going to put himself on the outside, and clearly, Tanner, it appears as though that's where he wanted to be. He didn't even try and get in this mess and mix it up for an inside lane.
He seemed pretty happy with that, but the speed they've got to go to get from the 1:15 score up around to a proper start is still impressive. I mean, they're still driving through hallways and shooting rooster tails through the corners. It's going to be interesting with the start-finish line so far down the straightaway. I'm not sure exactly. You probably have seen some of the testing and practice, but what the time needs to be at the last yellow buoy in order to be able to be full throttle across the start-finish line on time.
It is about 12 seconds. So you're going to have Jamie Nielsen in lane number 1. Corey Peabody is going to sit in 2. J. Michael Kelly's going to be in 3. Dave Villwalk has caught up with the field. He is on the outside as we come up on 16, 15 seconds. Watch them, about a dozen seconds off that exit pin. They are there now. So by my clock and my calcs, and I'm not a driver, but I say go. Jamie retarded the throttle just a little bit, but this is going to be a good-looking 4-boat start. They hit the line 2 seconds. 1 mark, and I think it's legal, and Villwalk broke the clock on the outside. Dave Villwalk looked like he was right on the mark, and then it was Corey Peabody in lane number 2 was the second one across the line. Nielsen was across in 3rd on an inside lane, and then it was Kelly trailing the field, running in a hallway, and look at Villwalk and Corey Peabody. The start is clean, and look at the run off the exit pin. Tanner, this is a good race for 1st and 2nd and for 3rd and 4th.
Both drivers pushing it absolutely to the limit. You can see Villwalk as they go by the bridge, get the gust of wind, floating the boat half of the straightaway, just walking it with those sponsons off the water. Incredibly risky, and side by side going into turn 2.
Corey is really in this national high points race. He really wants to win this heat, but Dave is here to say, I have come to play, and the 27 is quick, and he's showing me an awful lot of speed on the outside. It's going to be Dave Villwalk with a 1-boat length lead as they cross the start-finish line at the completion of lap number 1. Then it's Kelly running in 3rd, Nielsen running in 4th. Villwalk is really showing me something, Tanner, on that outside lane.
He sure is. They've broken away that 7-boat length and that rooster tail that you mentioned.
There goes Corey. Corey is up and over. Corey has ridden up the rooster tail of the 27 of Dave Villwalk, and the boat rode up the rooster tail, went through it. He has blown over, and the boat is upside down, approaching the exit pin of turn 1. He has popped the canopy open. So the rescue boats are headed over to Corey Peabody, who unfortunately rode up the rooster tail.
He's out
of the 27, and the rescue sleds will find their way over. So we will just have to wait until we get official word. It appears as though the canopy did, or the hatch on the bottom of the boat did pop open. You see all our boats are dead in the water right now. They have all shut down. There is a red flag on the race course. So I think we're going to queue up a replay here. We've got a shot from a drone, which is going to give you a pretty good look at the lanes as the boat. Here's from the ground, or the water level view, and you see Corey getting caught in the rooster tail, and as close as he was to Dave, once you get into that rooster tail, and you see Corey slide out a little bit there, and then he got into the rooster tail, and it's all over at that point.
Yeah, so then there's the question of, did Dave leave the lane in the following buoy, or does he just get a huge amount of grip right there essentially and cut in? But if you look at his distance from buoy to buoy, yes, he pinches a bit, but even when he gets to the next buoy, if they keep on playing forward, he still has left a lane open all the way to the end of that corner. Corey just attacked the beginning of the corner possibly a little bit too fast and maybe just couldn't hang on as tight to the inside apex cones as he started the turn.
And we can report officially that the H1 officials just to our left have ruled there was no infraction on the water outside of the accident itself. So they have ruled that Dave did leave enough room there for Corey. You'll see Corey here, he starts sliding out. There the front end of the boat came up, and the skid fin may have come unhooked. When that happens, you're moving to the right and going so quickly. The boat it almost seems to me that it possibly corkscrews or flat seconds to the start. They square up and come down. I like where they are. They were about 10 seconds off the exit pin, and now we're 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Mark, man, what a start for J. Michael Kelly. It appeared to be clean, and we have a clean start. Kelly was right on it, Tanner.
He sure was. Andrew Tate had speed on him on the outside, looking to keep that speed all the way around. and stuck in the hallway, but very close, is Dave Vilwalk, getting bounced around a little bit there in the first corner.
Second place coming off the corner is Andrew Tate. He's on the far outside. Vilwalk giving ground in between boats. Look at J. Michael Kelly running like a rocket up the backstretch, but he's got a right side rear view mirror that is full of U91 and Andrew Tate. It is Tate and Kelly at the top end. Vilwalk has decided, I'm going to drop back and not play in this game. He was in a tough spot being behind and between boats. Kelly off the top end of the race course. There comes Andrew Tate. Remember, fans, we're going to go 3 times around. Kelly flying the boat, got a lot of air underneath it. Andrew Tate wants to run him down, but it's Kelly by about 4 boat lengths, Tanner.
Honestly, Andrew Tate has shown the speed in qualifying to be able to get this job done. He knows that. He's definitely not backing down as Dave Vilwalk did. When they round this corner, point it into the wind, the amount of air they put under these boats is just, frankly, scary to watch.
And you notice when they go through the corner, when we get that shot from the drone, Andrew Tate is not staying real close to the side of the rooster tail of J. Michael Kelly. He does not want that salt rooster tail to fall onto his boat. The salt is just his nemesis. But now he's closing ground at the top end of the straightaway here, up toward the pit area in the SeaWorld turn. But Kelly's still got lane position on the inside. They're going to come down to pick up the white flag with 1 to go. Kelly on the inside. Where's Andrew? There he is off the top end. This is going to be a fast final lap.
Andrew really hugging his rooster tail around that last corner there. You can see he's going for it on this lap. Oh my gosh, he's flying it so high across the start-finish line.
He did fly the boat across the start-finish line. I thought he may have to pull his foot, and that might have been the end of the heat, but he stayed on it and was able to bring it back down. He is definitely closer to Kelly this time than he was on the last time they went down. Kelly has opened up maybe another boat length in the lower corner, and this is it. This is the white flag lap. The checkered flag will fly. As Dave Vilwalk comes back, he will cross the start-finish line to get the white flag on to start lap number 3. Backstretch still Kelly by about 4, maybe 4.5 boat lengths. He's got to just negotiate the top end of the race course and come down and pick up a checkered flag, and this would be a big one. He would love to have it. J. Michael Kelly. Kelly off the exit pin right there. Where's Andrew? Staying right with him. Checkered flag is now hanging. They've got to just put the pedal down and bring it home, Tanner.
Very impressive. J. Michael Kelly showing the speed of that number 8 boat throughout the season. Even with the number 1 lane, he may not have been able to keep up with Andrew Tate chasing him on the outside, but man, he did not give an inch.
He did not. That was a whale of a run for J. Michael Kelly. Wow. An awful lot of, we know there's so much speed in that 91, the Goodman Real Estate, but Mike got the jump at him on the start. He broke the clock. He was the first one out, and they come off the lower corner. Andrew drives by J. Michael Kelly, and I'm sure if they looked at each other out the window, he had to nod to him. Nice run, Mr. Kelly. Wow. And here comes Dave Vilwalk. He will come down and pick up a third-place finish, and I think discretion was the better part of valor on this one for Dave Vilwalk. As you and I saw, he was between boats. He was back a little bit, and that's not a good spot to be in freshwater, let alone the saltwater. And I think he just pulled his foot and said, I'll live and fight another day with you guys. I think we're ready with Erica Allreed standing by with J. Michael Kelly. Erica?
Mike, congratulations on that drive. You had your work cut out for you as you had to fend off Andrew. How were you able to focus on the task at hand? Because you said you were checking those mirrors to ensure that you had enough distance.
Yeah, no, I knew Andrew was going to be fast out there. It was just a matter of time if he was going to catch me on the outside. I was able to get some good water. I ran some clean laps, and, most of all, I got a really good start and led everybody the first turn, and I think that's really what helped me, and I was able to just hold on to that. And that checker flag wasn't coming quick enough, but proud of my team with everything that's happened. These guys are working hard, and but most of all, Corey Peabody, he's good. Just a tough way to start the weekend, and glad we were able to bounce back this heat and come away with the heat win for all these guys.
And we were chatting earlier, and you said it's been kind of an up and down season for you. So how much of this win wasn't just wanted but needed to kick off your season finale weekend?
Yeah, I mean, we've been just, a little bit of struggles here and there with the boat. At times it runs really good, and other times we just can't find it. And it just, but this weekend we came in with a game plan, and we we tried something and we've stuck with it. We haven't really had to make a bunch of changes, and I'm happy with it. The guys are happy with it, and we just continue to look at the data, see if we can make some tweaks. We got a really good race boat right now, and maybe we can make it just a little bit better. Keep Andrew and those guys in our rearview mirror. It definitely helps.